I eat in a day as a guy who only eats beans. I began the morning with beans, on toast without the toast, and nothing hits the spot like a throat full of warm beans at 8 a.m. I then did some important influencing research because yes, I'm an influencer, and yes, I'm more important than you. I then wanted to share the love with some homies, so I brought them their favorite beans, and we enjoyed those before heading to second breakfast, where I of course gobbled on more beans, and they had whatever the crap this is. Afterwards, we got third breakfast at 6 p.m. They wanted to go to this lame market that didn't sell beans, but luckily I always got that MF and thing on me, so we toasted to another day full of beans and enjoyed beverages.
Good morning, sweet world, and welcome to the No Dunks podcast on the Athletic Network. It's Wednesday, June 28th, 2023. I'm J.E. Skeets here in the Classic Factory, and alongside me, back from Chicago, it's the bearded one, Trey Kirby.
Hey-o!
Hey-o! And over yonder, the man making the magic happen, super producer, JD.
Hello.
There he is, and here we are. No task today. He is off celebrating his daughter's birthday. Happy birthday to Zoe, and happy birthday to Esh, the apprentice, Eshua Kid, also celebrating what? His 22nd, 23rd birthday?
21st, 22nd.
How young is that guy? Jeez, makes me feel old. How you doing? How was Chicago?
Chicago was great.
Did you take the train?
I see the confusion here, Skeets. I intended to dress as a lowly slop farmer today.
Okay. Farmer. I thought you were a railroad man.
But it is giving conductor. I had a long travel day yesterday.
Uh-oh.
So when I woke up this morning and I saw the reminder I set on my phone, wear overalls, I didn't have it in my brain to question it. I was like, all right, putting on overalls. One decision done.
So the flight was delayed last night.
Oh,
Kept
baby.
getting pushed back.
It was delayed, yeah. I was on the last flight of the night, I was having a great time, seeing family. Didn't want to leave until I got the text message saying, hour and a half delay. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. And then I just kept refreshing. 5 minutes more, 5 minutes more, 5 minutes more, 5 minutes more. Next thing I know, it's 4 a.m. and I'm walking in back home.
You said you got in so late that the plane train at the Atlanta airport was shut down.
Yeah,
you should have had the overalls on. You could have fired it back
Hey, do you guys need help? Yeah, Skeets, it was tough stuff. I had to hoof it.
Nice.
I don't know, 4, maybe 5 terminals.
Whoa. It's spread out.
I was passing people. I was feeling bad.
You're feeling like Skeets out there,
yeah, because
zipping around people.
So I was like, people are tired. It's late at night. They've had the same tough travel days that I've had. But I got longer legs, so get out the way! Peace up, A-Town down, move!
You got a podcast to get ready for, too.
Yeah,
well, we're happy to have you here. Shout out to the stream team joining us live right now on YouTube. Hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe. We just cracked 79,000 subs, so we're getting close to 80K. And then we'll have 100K before you know it. Go get your No Dunks merch over at nodunks.com. T-shirts, hoodies, mugs, hats, and these sexy new beach stepping tank tops available in 3 colors, white, pink, black. Go grab those again at nodunks.com. On today's podcast, there is a reason Trey is dressed as a railroad man / farmer. We're going to be introducing a new segment called the Slop Scale. Yes, a chance for us to weigh the latest NBA rumors. Hence, this look.
Yeah, look, I went to a place called Blackberry Farm this week, a magical place. And I'll just say, the one animal they don't want you feeding, Skeets, it's the pig.
Why?
You can feed the alpacas, you can feed the tiny horses, you can, of course, feed the goats, but do not feed that pig.
Why?
Getting fat off slop. It is that time of year.
Can you feed them NBA rumors?
Yeah, I was holding my hand, I was saying, Dante DiVincenzo. Fred bleeds.
Okay, before we get to the slop scale, and we will explain that in a second, following a meeting on Monday between Damian Lillard and the Blazers organization, Portland general manager Joe Cronin issued a brief statement addressing the interaction. Quote, "We had a great dialogue." That's what the statement read. "We remain committed to building a winner around Dame." That was basically it. And I know what you're thinking right now. Oh my God. You're not going to do this, are you? You're not going to talk Damian Lillard train rumors again. People are tired of it. People are getting frustrated. People want to move on. Not us. We're doubling down on the Lillard trade rumors. We're swerving hardcore. But I do have some questions off of this.
Great.
Off of the entire situation with Damian Lillard and the Blazers. The first one is, What are your thoughts on this very brief statement here from Blazers GM Joe Cronin?
My first reaction was a Stephen A. Smith meme. Let me tell you something. We don't care. Are you kidding me? Whatever. This is once again the same statement we have heard from both sides so many times. If it's Dame saying it, it's I want to win in Portland. If it's the Trailblazers front office saying it, we're committed to building a winner around Dame. This is obviously Blazers sided. There isn't really any mention of Dame's opinion on things here. It just felt like we needed to have another Damian Lillard talk this week. So this is the latest bit, but I don't know. It just feels like, I guess, watch me cook, Joe Cronin is saying. We're going into free agency here. We know that Dame doesn't necessarily want a youth movement, but the Blazers just drafted a potential franchise cornerstone going forward in Scoot Henderson. So perhaps the youth movement is starting without Dame's consent either way.
Right.
But at the very least here, it feels like Joe Cronin is going to have a chance on the first couple of days of free agency to make some kind of splash, to make some kind of trade, to change something up, to give Dame Lillard some sort of encouragement going forward, because it does feel like Dame is very happy in Portland. He doesn't really want to leave, right? Like, he would love to win a championship there. He's basically going into his Dirk Nowitzki season right now, the same age that Dirk was when he won his title with the Mavericks, which is exactly what Damian Lillard is trying to pull. So he's given Joe one last chance. Let's see what you can cook here, Joe.
Right, and do you think that means, like, you have 2 weeks to cook, Joe Cronin? Or, a year or so, and we'll try and figure this out? I know it's impossible. Like, who knows? But what do you think?
Well, I think wait and see. I don't know. It feels like this is just going to be the case. We're going to get a weekly Damian Lillard update. Like, what can Joe Cronin pull on the first couple of days of free agency? Maybe it's just bringing back Jeremy Grant, and maybe then things take a little bit of a break and we wait and see where the big names are signing. If anybody is disappointed in striking out at free agency and then therefore wants to make a trade. So maybe it'll be by like the end of the moratorium period, which I guess is a week away. But I don't know. I feel like Lillard is going to give the Blazers a chance here to get the best package, and he's going to stay tight-lipped about it, even if he does decide to want out. He wants the best for Portland, so I think Joe's going to have a chance to try and make some moves. I don't know what exact moves they're going to try and make, though.
Right. Cronin has said his intention is to build a winner around Damian Lillard, but really, with the exception of trading for Jeremy Grant last summer, a lot of his moves are more of the stockpiling young assets, which doesn't seem to sync up with the idea of like building a winner right now around Dame. I have heard, I believe it was Lowe and Beck yesterday talking about the possibility of all of these statements and these comments, the two camps trying to work together, Damian Lillard and his team, obviously the Blazers, to put up a good front here, put on a good face, and maybe behind the scenes still trying to wheel and deal, either for other players to add to Damian Lillard or the idea of moving Damian Lillard. But we don't want to come out and say, well, we're moving him, because then your leverage goes down a little bit. If it suddenly is like Damian Lillard has said, I'm out of here, I only want to go to 2 or 3 teams and get at it, which could happen, but that does hurt the Blazers' leverage in that potential play. So maybe almost Dame is like helping them out. If that is going on behind the scenes, which is a possibility.
Absolutely true. I think a trade request becoming public would be bad news for both Lillard and for the Blazers, because you're right, it hurts their leverage if everybody knows that Damian Lillard is officially on the market. The offers are just going to go down a little bit. And from Lillard's perspective, people call him the greatest Blazer of all time. And it's debatable between him, Clyde Drexler, and Bill Walton, basically are the top 3 names. Those 2 guys left. And they left under not the greatest circumstances, certainly Walton. So that's something that Lillard has in his back pocket when you're talking about all-time legacy in Portland. Yeah. The guy who stayed, the guy who tried to make it happen there. So it behooves him to keep a trade request quiet as well, and it's great for the Blazers if it's still assumed that Lillard is going to be in training camp come September and October. Yeah,
they both left, and they both won championships when they left. I know Bill Walton had one with Portland, but he also won another one with the Celtics and that super team, and obviously Clyde Drexler
strange trip to that
with the Rockets. Yeah, it's true. That's true. Okay, well, the next question then, and the one that really anybody cares about, is what direction should the Blazers go? All right, because they have, I guess, 3 options. trade Dame, start the rebuild around Scoot Henderson, your number 3 pick, and probably Shaedon Sharpe, who obviously looks like a promising young prospect. Or you trade your young talent for, I guess, like a proven vet or two, a proven star even, to pair up with Dame and really go for a championship in the next, let's say, 2 or 3 years. Or this mysterious third option that people keep saying, this thread the needle, which I don't even really understand what that means. I guess it just means keep Scoot and Sharpe, keep Dame, and try and get somebody in. But obviously with that problem there is, how are you getting a star without moving maybe a Scoot or a Sharpe? I mean, I guess Simons and Nurk is going to get you something in return, but is it all that sexy?
You could. I mean, Simons and Nurk, with their combination of Simons being pretty young and an ascendant talent, and Nurkic having a big contract that allows them to put together a pretty good number, you can at least bring in a player. But to me, the third path, the thread the needle path, is basically just a, wow, Scoot is a star right away. Path.
Yes.
That's really what it is. That's
Yeah.
how you're bringing in a star without sending anything out. It's like, what if Scoot Henderson ends up being, Oklahoma City Thunder early years, Russell Westbrook right away? If that's true,
okay.
Like, I mean, if he could win the Rookie of the Year this season, then that's definitely the path they're hoping for. Because right now, I feel like anytime a team is on the line with the Blazers and they're talking about helping out Portland, helping out building a winner around Dame, they're asking for Scoot every single time. And you're not going to get a great player right now that the Blazers have Scoot, because if they say no, which they'll probably say no, that's going to end a lot of discussions. I really do think, if they're not willing to include Scoot, which they shouldn't. But I don't know. We saw the way things went with Beal at the end of his tenure in Washington. We see where things are going with the Chicago Bulls right now, where they're really stuck in the middle here. Clearly, the way to go, if you're looking just basketball, if you're looking contracts, if you're looking ages, is trading Damian Lillard and starting the reboot around Scoot with Sharpe and Simons there as well, plus whatever you're getting back from Dame. That is the smart basketball building way of doing it.
Yep.
That completely ignores the people that are involved here. Damian Lillard, a legend amongst Portland. Joe Cronin doesn't want to be the guy, I'm sure, to end the Damian Lillard era. So that's it's an easy decision to make when you're not the one who's going to have to deal with people calling the next day saying, I don't want my tickets. I'm canceling my season tickets. You just traded Damian Lillard for draft picks. That's a tough spot to be in.
Sure.
But, the smart thing, obviously, is starting the reboot. They were gifted a reboot when they jumped up to number 3 in the draft.
Yeah, it's a good point. That is, it sounds funny, but that's the easiest path too, because
Exactly.
You have already your number 3 pick, again, young talent, and then you just sort of start from scratch and see what you can put together. Whereas the other ones, this idea of either trading these young assets for proven stars and guys that can help you win right now, or the thread the needle, which is some variation of that, is what are they supposed to do here? Like, who are they possibly trading for if you are running with the idea of like building around Dame right now? Like, who is it? Karl Anthony Towns? Does that move the needle? Jaylen Brown? I maybe, but it sounds like he's not going anywhere. Paul George? Like, is that enough? Is Simons and Nurk and a draft pick for Paul George suddenly skyrocketing the Blazers up the standings? They're better, don't get me wrong. But
they're better, and I think that trading for Paul George, especially just coming off Simons and Nurk, I think that would satisfy the just wants a shot clause, right? Like, I don't think that rockets the Trailblazers to the top of the Western Conference, but it definitely makes them more competitive, especially if you're, pie in the sky. Both Lillard and Paul George are healthy come playoff time. But yeah, when we were talking about all these trade packages before the draft even came around, it was like maybe the highest profile player linked to the Blazers was Pascal Siakam, who's a really, really good player on the fringes of All-NBA consideration for the past couple of seasons, an all-star guy in his prime. But even then, Lillard and Pascal and bringing back Jeremy Grant, perhaps, I don't think that's really a contender. Maybe that's a satisfying, we at least have a shot. They're definitely improved and more veteran team, but I don't know that there's anybody that the Blazers can get right now that's pushing them over the top in the Western Conference. They didn't even make the play-in tournament. They haven't been good with Damian Lillard on the court the past 2 seasons.
Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, as it currently stands, they have way too many guards on this roster. Yes. They don't have a lot of big guys. I think Nurkic is their only real big guy, and they don't really love him anymore. They can't stop anyone. This has been the recurring theme with the Blazers. They have the worst defense. One of the worst defenses in the past 4 seasons. 27th, they ranked in defensive rating this season. That was good compared to the last other years. 30th the year before, 29th the year before that, and 28th the year before that. So they've been brutal, near the bottom when it comes to stopping anyone. And they are strapped for salary cap space, like heading into free agency here, which is why you have to, I mean, it feels like you have to move a Simons, a Nurk, or, and they don't seem like they want to do this, go crazy in trading like your Scoot and your Sharp, like your legitimate young assets for a quick fix, a short-term solution. And that is such a risky proposition. I mean, the only one I can think of where it ever really worked is like, remember when LeBron went back to Cleveland? And it was like, obviously coming down from him a little bit. Hey, yeah, I'm coming back. I'm signing there. They had the number 1 pick in Andrew Wiggins. He never even played a second for them. They shipped that out along with Anthony Bennett, the former number 1 pick, along with another future first, I think it was, for Kevin Love. And it was like, okay, yeah, they did that. But that's LeBron James. This is the other part of this whole thing. This is Damian Lillard. He's really good. He's a top 75 player. But at this point of his career, even though he just had a lights out year, is Dame, I guess he's top 10? Is he? A lock? I don't know. He's
definitely not a
LeBron.
lock. There are times,
he's not one of the GOATs. So
well, that's the thing with this, is when you are looking at what the best possible team that could be with Damian Lillard on it next season, wherever he ends up, or if it is in Portland, the best team is Damian Lillard in Miami, where he is on the same level as Jimmy Butler with regards to who's the number 1. Mm-hmm. Jimmy is probably the number 1 guy since he's the culture setter in Miami. But if it's Lillard as the number 1 in Portland with the names that we're talking about them bringing in, that team's not as good as what a Heat team would be. So, like you're saying, when it's LeBron in his prime, making the call, the guy can't stop going to NBA Finals, you make a move for the win now guy because you're ready to win right now. Mm-hmm. The Blazers are trying to win right now, and they can't win right now. They just can't. Like, it's not like they really are close here. No. So that's the problem.
The Blazers were like sort of in a similar position back in 2012 when they have Aldridge and they have a high draft pick, number 6, I believe it was. You know, you're deciding, oh, okay, Aldridge in his prime. Do we bring in more veteran talent around him? No, they select from Weber State, Damian Lillard, number 6. And those two coexisted for a couple years before Aldridge left for San Antonio. They won 33 games in their first year together. I mean, he's a rookie, point guard. I mean, He's good. He was Rookie of the Year, was he not? But, there's some growing pains. But then they won 50-plus games the next 2 seasons, and they made it to the second round once. So they won 1 playoff series. Again, that's fine. That's growing. And then Aldridge leaves for the San Antonio Spurs. Like, they're sort of at this this was different because Aldridge was much younger. I mean, Damian is older, but he's a much better player than Aldridge ever was at his peak. But it's another, here we go. What do you do? What path?
Exactly. And I guess back then they just decided we're taking the good guy and we're sticking with the good guy.
Yeah.
So it was tough when Aldridge left, but obviously Lillard has become a franchise cornerstone. They've got the only way they should trade Scoot is if it's for somebody who has a potential to like finish a first team All-NBA this season alongside Lillard. Paul George is almost that guy just because when he's at his best, when he's healthy, he can have great seasons. I don't know if that's completely past him at this point as he gets a little bit older, but it could be looked at as a massive mistake if they include Scoot in any of these trades going forward, but I don't think they're going to do that.
Yeah, because, and that's where, like you said this earlier, it's like, okay, you call the Clippers. You say, okay, there's some rumors that you maybe don't want to be the person to give Paul George a huge extension here. You obviously got the Kawhi decision too. Maybe he's on the trade block. Maybe he could be moved. Okay, Simons, Nurkic, 2 future first-round picks, and the Clippers go, no, we want Scoot. Right? Mm-hmm. And maybe they even back down off of Scoot, and maybe it's Sharp. And I don't think even the Blazers want to give up on that. But to me, that trade, if the whole plan is here to give yourself a chance, like you said, to be, a top 5 team, let's say, in the West, who knows what happens when you got Dame and Paul George and Jeremy Grant as your 3 guys in a playoff series. That is a move that I could see happening. I'm no way including Scoot in that. Not a chance. Simons, Nurk, maybe a future first or 2. Sure. But even then, I think you're just like, I don't know what percentage you're even giving yourself to even like go all the way with that team. But I guess it's better. Unless Scoot's awesome. But we're putting a lot of pressure on Scoot Henderson here, too, as this other part of
That's the thing. Even like the best rookies who have incredible performances, great stats, they're not generally positive players their rookie year. I think I forget one of these basketball stats Twitters I was following was saying it's like under 3% of rookies their rookie year are positive players from a box score standpoint. So it is tough. It's also tough that Lillard is on a big contract. He goes through 2027. He'll be making $63 million that year if he picks up his option. We're seeing right now teams are very hesitant to take on really long money. Lillard's going to be 33 at the start of the season. You got to be convinced that you're choosing the right guy to be paying him $63 million at 37 years old, and you've got to kick in all of these players and picks to get Lillard back. I think it's going to be tough for the Blazers to find what they're looking for out there.
All right, final question then is, if he ultimately decides, okay, move me, or maybe even the Blazers say, all right, okay, you're playing a nice guy here, we're done with this, we got to pick a real direction, we are going to try and trade you. What is, or what team has the best Damian Lillard trade package, in your opinion? Because there's a lot of talk how there's like only a handful of teams that really make any sense. Who do you think has the best deal?
I don't know. The best player that's generally linked in these Lillard packages, I feel like, is Tyler Hero from under a contract, still young and promising perspective. I guess he would fit nice next to Scoot, being able to play catch and shoot and also handle some creation stuff. The best risk from a pick standpoint is definitely the Brooklyn Nets, because they have some far future Suns first rounders, which could end up looking okay in a couple of seasons. They've got a Dallas Mavericks first a few years down the line, which could also look nice in a couple of seasons, but you're not probably getting a player back on the level of Tyler Hero, I don't think, from the Brooklyn Nets. So I guess Hero is the better trade package, though Miami picks aren't ever really going to be good. Like, the best you're probably looking at is somewhere in the teens, so that's a tough one. You mentioned Karl Anthony Towns earlier.
You're swerving.
That actually interests me. Scoot and Karl Anthony Towns? You're also kicking in picks if you're the Timberwolves, and I don't necessarily know that Lillard would want to go to Minnesota, and Portland is going to work with Lillard to figure out where he wants to go. But a shooting big man probably looks nice to Scoot Henderson long term. And then, Towns helps build him up, and then by the time Scoot is at his full powers, Towns' deal is probably coming off the books at that point.
Right.
So I don't know.
It's the weird part is Damian Lillard on the Wolves is the strange part of that whole thing. I mean, you're really ultimately like, sorry, buddy, we don't care anymore. We're just trying to get the best deal for us.
Yes.
Right.
Which, is kind of a GM's job to make those hard calls, but that's a very hard call to make.
Yeah. The ones you see the most are obviously Miami getting Damian Lillard for something like Tyler Hero, let's say Duncan Robinson in that contract, Jovic, Jaime Jaquez. I'm going to still struggle with that one. The number 18 pick in the 2023 draft. And then a first-round pick in 28, a 29 pick swap, and a 2030 first-round pick. There's that one. And then there's the Nets going, let's say, because Lowe says Claxton off the table, there's no way they're trading Bridges. Obviously, you want Lillard there to pair with them. It would be something like Spencer Dinwiddie, Royce O'Neal, Joe Harris, and then a bunch of those Suns picks, 25, 27, 29, that last one being top 3 protected. Yeah, they're not great.
They're not great.
But I guess if your hands are tied at that point, he's like, okay, trade me. Do you just, I don't know. Those are not great. Those are not great. I can't even pick. I don't even know which one I like more between those two. Maybe the Nets. I think the Nets I like more if I'm Portland and I'm trading Damian Lillard. I don't know. I would take Hero, the Hero package, definitely over the Nets. I think I'm higher on Hero than you are, just in general. He also didn't play in the playoffs after hurting his hand, so I guess there's those kind of questions. But Hero unleashed would be much like Jordan Poole unleashed to me. Perhaps you could see 30 a game on 25 shots per game, sure. Something along those lines. But I guess the nice thing about the Nets trade package is you're getting a few extra years of job security with that one, I think, because you're getting picks in, and you're also looking at whatever return they get, be it a Dinwiddie, Dorian Finney-Smith, probably then moving that player as well to try and get
even additional draft compensation.
All right, we'll call it there. We'll have a lot more on Damian Lillard with whatever next news drops, whatever song was playing in the background when he goes live on Instagram. Any comments on that?
I mean, I assume that was just good DJing.
You like the
whoever
playlist?
turned it on. Yeah, totally. I love Will Smith's Miami.
It's true.
Absolutely.
Whitney Houston came on after.
Yep. But I don't know. I agree I listened to the podcast. They should drop a playlist of the best come to Miami songs.
Yeah.
As well. So
maybe that'll be the
slide
deciding
All-Stars,
factor.
Take it to the house.
The Nets put together a playlist. A lot of Biggie Small, stuff like that.
Ooh, interesting.
And then the Heat put together a playlist, and then that's how we decide. He does like music.
Dame does like music. He is a rapper.
Yep.
And look, I think for 9 months a year, you're taking the Brooklyn playlist over the Miami playlist,
Right.
but it's summertime. It's hard
Put
to
on
beat
a
Miami
beach
in the
step and tank
summertime.
top
That's
and
right.
put on the playlist.
NoDunks.com.
All right, we'll take a quick break. When we come back, a brand new segment called the Slop Scale. Don't go anywhere.
So I was at a party on Saturday. Someone asked me about my Bombas socks. And I had them on. And then unfortunately we got interrupted, so our conversation ended. But I saw that same person the next day, and we continued that Bombas conversation. May have been flexing my calf while showing off my summer ankles as I wicked sweat with a Bombas performance sock, keeping cool, fashionable, and comfy. And they definitely weren't the same pair as the day before. No, ma'am, I changed them, and I definitely have a different pair of Bombas on now. Yeah, back to back Bombas. There's a little baseball reference for you. Back to back Jacks on 3 pitches this weekend.
I saw that. Was that the score? It was like 24-1 or 25-1, whatever the score was.
Yeah. They bombed away. Anyway, this is what I told that person. Bombas' no-show socks are made with breathable yarns for a barely there feel, plus silicone grips and a contoured design to prevent slipping down or sliding around. Okay. I probably said it a little less eloquently than that. Actually, I saw the word yarns. I almost said yams because the R and the N are almost connected here on my Word doc. I got bad eyes here. Anyway, every item is seamless, tagless, and effortlessly soft. Bombas are the clothes you'll want to get dressed and move in every day. Socks, underwear, and t-shirts are the number 1, 2, and 3 most requested items in homeless shelters. That's why for every comfy item you purchase, Bombas donates another comfy item to someone in need. Bombas is one product I received for free, #blessed, but I have bought them on my own dime. You can do the same by going to bombas.com/nodunks and use code NODUNKS for 20% off your first purchase. That's bombas.com/nodunks and use code NODUNKS at checkout. Bombas.com/nodunks, code NODUNKS.
All right, still here in the Classic Factory. Hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe if you're joining us live on YouTube. NBA slop season is in full effect. All of us little piggies can't get enough. So to tackle the latest batch of NBA rumors, we've come up with a brand new segment here on No Dunks called the Slop Scale. Yeehaw! The Slop Scale. What a intro from JD. Much love, by the way, to the You Know Ball podcast for really bringing slop into the NBA lexicon. I love it for NBA rumors.
It's a sloppy time of year. I think they're doing like nightly slop streams.
I jumped
Just
on last
talking
night's
rumors.
playback, watched Slop Fest number 5 there from the guys. So yeah, go check out the You Know Ball podcast. So here's how this is going to work. Trey, we're going to weigh in on the latest NBA rumors here on the Slop Scale. The heavier and juicier and sloppier the NBA rumor, the more buckets of slop you can assign to it, okay? 5 buckets of slop, that's the best. The less interested you are in said NBA rumor, the fewer buckets you will assign, down to 1, okay? It's a scale from 1 to 5.
Just a little slop clarification here.
Sure.
You're saying I'm judging it based on the juiciness of the rumor, not how much I like the move that would be made.
Honestly, this is a sloppy segment for a sloppy season. Go with whatever direction you want.
I think that's fair. Just as long as there's juice somewhere. And we're talking slop here. It's like the grossest stuff you can find. Throw it in. It's going to be very wet.
Chuck it in a bucket and give it to the pigs.
Chuck it in a bucket.
That's right. So the slop scale, first one here. A lot of this slop, by the way, coming from Jake Fisher. that guy enjoys a sloppy season.
He is slopping it hard.
Holy crap. So Jake Fisher of Yahoo Sports, first one, Kyle Kuzma to the Kings has momentum. Yeah, potential target there for Sacramento, even with a new deal for Sabonis. Plus the Kings' expectation to bring back Trey Lyles, Sacramento could have more than $25 million to play with in cap room. Kuzma to the Kings, building momentum. How many buckets of slop does Farmer Trey Kirby give it?
I think I'm going 4 buckets of slop here.
Okay.
This is a nice sloppy one here. Kuzma is kind of a guy that makes sense for the Kings. I know you guys were talking about it on the show. Power forward / whatever you want to call the Harrison Barnes position there between him and Murray is an area that the Kings could definitely improve.
Yep.
Kuzma is one of the premier free agents that's available right now. But I also think it's interesting when you're reading through this slop report from Jake Fisher here. He mentions that Kuzma is going to be looking for north of $30 million annually. And then here he's saying Sacramento could have more than $25 million. So maybe there's a little bit of a space, a little bit of a gap there where another team just decides to come over the top for Kuzma. But it feels like the Kings is the spot right now. I guess he's a little bit more of a dynamic improvement over Harrison Barnes. A very similar kind of player, but you're getting higher highs perhaps with Kuzma.
Right. It does feel like Harrison Barnes is leaving, whether he ends up in Indiana or some other team, but they're going to need to fill that slot. Yeah. Is it Kuzma? Is it Grant Williams? Is it, who else am I forgetting in the power forward position? Start running out of names, and they all blend together. Is there a move for Tobias Harris? For crying out loud, probably not. So, okay, so you don't mind it. You could see, depending on the money value here for Kuz, you think there's a role to be played there in Sacramento?
Yeah, I like it. And I like the Kings making moves at the draft, basically to open up a little bit of space here and make a play for a player. I know Zach Lowe's been talking about how it's possible that what the Kings are doing is just doing this extension for a Sabonis to pay him a little bit more because they've got the cap room. There's obviously the Draymond Green question as well. But to me, Kuzma kind of makes the most sense from he's trying to get a nice contract. The Kings have a need here, and they've got the space to fit him in.
All right, next one here. Jake Fisher says, San Antonio was known to be waiting with a short-term contract for Naz Reid and the hope of pairing him with Wembanyama in the front court. But Naz Reid staying with the Minnesota Timberwolves. Now the Spurs will have to turn to other targets, perhaps someone like Pelican center Jonas Valanciunas. He's been made available in search of a more mobile, rim-protecting big man there in New Orleans. So the Pelicans have put Valanciunas on the trade block. How many buckets of slop?
I think this is just a 2-bucket slop job here.
Yeah,
and maybe we're overrating it here because we're Jonas fans. And he's a fun guy to watch. He plays a sloppy style game. It looks like he's just carrying a whole bunch of buckets in, throwing his elbows around, sloshing it around inside. But, Jonas Valanciunas, surprising to me, this guy's almost 32 years old. Or he just turned 31. I'm sorry, math-wise here. That doesn't make sense. But yeah, just turned 31 years old. A little bit older than you would expect. He's getting further on into his career. And Valanciunas is a good player, but he's a player you have to keep very involved offensively. He needs to touch the ball to be effective with his post game. He's great on the offensive glass, but there's not a lot of possessions to go around in New Orleans right now. Zion will be coming back at some point. It seems like they're keeping the team together, so Brandon Ingram will handle handle the ball quite a bit, as will CJ McCollum. There's just not a lot of shots to be had for Jonas, and he's a guy that definitely thrives when he's getting the ball more often. You can see why they would want whether it be a rim-running center who's just catching lobs or like a pick-and-pop threat if Zion is living in the lane, that sort of thing. Valanciunas just doesn't necessarily make sense with a Pelicans team that really wants outside shooting.
What do you think about the link to the Spurs and the idea of putting a big dude like Valanciunas beside Wembanyama, the Rook, to sort of like slow play his growth in the league and maybe not have to match up with your giant centers, be more of like a crazy long 4 type of guy?
Yeah, you kind of turn him into like Serge Ibaka on the Oklahoma City Thunder, and Valanciunas would be like Kendrick Perkins, taking the bumps, and then Ibaka kind of comes over the top. I see that making sense. Playing center is a very physically taxing position, and we've seen numerous great athletes, very strong guys, Giannis, Anthony Davis. they don't want to play center for an entire season. Vic's coming in as a very skinny guy, despite the fact that he's been playing overseas. He's still going to be skinny. He's still going to be on the lighter side compared to some NBA centers. So I think saving him the early season's worth of bumps kind of makes sense. I like the Naz Reid fit better next to Wembanyama, but it might be okay for Wembanyama to learn from Valanciunas, learn the physicality in practice, learn the dirty tricks that he's going to teach you inside. I can see that making sense, and then, Wembanyama's future is at the 5, and when he's ready, Valanciunas is probably off the books.
Next one here, Chris Middleton declined his $40 million option with the Milwaukee Bucks last week. Makes him an unrestricted free agent. We went over a bunch of the free agents on yesterday's show, did a little NBA free agency primer. But Fisher writes that all signs are pointing to Middleton and the Bucks quickly agreeing to a new contract. The Rockets and Kings were two teams linked to Middleton as free agent suitors, but it sounds like he's going to agree with a deal, a longer-term deal there with Milwaukee. How many buckets of slop does this one garner?
This is a single bucket.
Yeah.
Maybe not even a half full bucket.
Wow.
As soon as the Bradley Beal deal happened with Phoenix, it was kind of a done deal to me that Middleton was going to be coming back to the Bucks. I guess you could maybe, if you were looking at it from the outside, argue that Beal would have been an upgrade over Middleton, but Chris Middleton was there at the Adrian Griffin press conference. It seemed like they had a wink-wink thing going on where if he declined his $40 million option, they would give him a lower number, but for longer years, which seems like that is what's going to happen here. So, to be expected, and a smart move from the Bucks. Middleton made his name in Milwaukee, obviously won a championship there, and feels like Milwaukee values continuity, and I'm sure Giannis Antetokounmpo likes Chris Middleton coming back as well. So, not unexpected at all. Expected, yes. Not unexpected.
You're saying there's not even enough slop in that bucket to take it to the trough.
Well, I mean, that's the beauty of slop, right? You just throw it on top and it's all beautiful.
Yeah, but I got to make the trip from, the kitchen to the trough out in the barn.
Yeah.
Might as well wait. Wait
until you can put a little more in there. Yeah, I guess you're right.
I don't know what I'm saying right now. Next one here.
We don't know that much about farming.
Next one is Jake Fisher saying, keep an eye on the Rockets, possibly trading bouncy forward KJ Martin, a.k.a. Kenyon Martin Jr., to create further financial flexibility. The Rockets have held an increasing number of trade calls on Martin with several teams since the draft. Atlanta, Phoenix, and Brooklyn have been mentioned as Martin suitors dating back to the February trade deadline. I feel like the Dallas Mavericks were in the hunt for Kenyon Martin Jr. at one point as well. So, yeah, Rockets considering moving Kenyon Martin Jr., I guess, as part of opening up more opportunity, more space, more money, whatever, for potentially trying to get your maybe Van Vliets and Brook Lopez's and Dylan Brooks and so on.
Yeah, I think that's exactly it. So, slop-wise, I'm going 2 buckets here because, like you're saying, Houston just has so many young players. They've had so many draft picks in the past 3 drafts. They've lucked into Cam Whitmore at number 20 when that was a guy they were looking at with their top 5 pick. Obviously, Amen Thompson is going to be playing a big part here. Even like their later on rookies from prior seasons, like Tari Eason gets a lot of minutes. Usman Garuba is a solid player. There's just a lot of guys on Houston who need to play and who it feels like the Rockets have invested a little more in, being higher picks, something like that. So KJ Martin's got $1.9 million only on his contract for this year. It's over after this season. So they're thinking, if we can get a second round pick, maybe we can find us another KJ Martin somewhere down the line and give him a chance to play somewhere and open up more spots for our guys.
I'm fascinated by the Rockets here heading into free agency. And if they could pull off landing Van Vliet, Brook Lopez, and Dylan Brooks with that $60 million of cap space at their disposal, how good they could potentially be right away with all the young talent still around them and a new coach. I'm not saying they're a top 4 team or anything, but that would be a solid team. They would be fighting for a play-in spot. They'd be maybe a playoff team with those vets. If you can mesh them together with your Jalen Greens and your Porters still, and like you said, Jabari and all that, I'm just fascinated by which direction they go, how hard they lean into. We're tired of winning 16, 17 games. We never win the actual draft lottery, so let's just get a bunch of vets in here with a new coach and actually try and get some dubs.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we'll see what they end up doing, but the Western Conference is really tough, and it's getting better. At this point, it's like the Rockets and the Spurs are at the bottom, but the Spurs are on their way up. You know they're going to be trying to win and hoping that Wembanyama has an impact right away. So I don't know how much bringing in Van Vliet and Brook Lopez changes the win totals, but they've been at 17, 20, and 22 wins the past 3 seasons. Bringing in those guys, even if it goes poorly, you're thinking like, we should be in the 30-win range. Like challenging for 40 wins, I feel like would be a great season for the Rockets. And if things hit right, if all of their veteran signings actually improve the team, I can see them, at least being relevant in the second half of the season, which I think would be a huge improvement.
Next one here, the Wolves interested in Bruce Brown and Dante DiVincenzo. Fisher writes, opposing executives are waiting to see if the Timberwolves waive veteran wing Taurean Prince and his non-guaranteed $7.5 million salary, which would help Minnesota gain access to the full mid-level exception. Several names linked to the Wolves at that salary slot, and they're all playmaking, bigger combo guards like Bruce Brown and Dante DiVincenzo. There are a lot of rumors about DiVincenzo possibly going to the Knicks because they're building Villanova 2.0 over there. Thoughts on this? How many buckets of slop?
I'll go with a full 5 buckets of slop here.
5 buckets of slop for Brown?
Do you think that's too much?
I'm a little shocked. Go on, though.
2 players. 2 players here, and I like both of them. Bruce Brown has shown himself to be a championship player, obviously, with the Nuggets, but I also think it's instructive to look back at his career. Like, when he was playing with the Brooklyn Nets, the guy was a backup 4 and 5, happy to do it and make plays and still contribute as well. So he's going to be worth whatever kind of deal he gets, and I'm guessing the mid-level exception kind of makes sense. So the Timberwolves would obviously need to waive Prince to make that happen, because I think multiple teams would be willing to give Bruce Brown that $12.8 million MLE. But I don't know. If you're the Wolves, do you think you could convince Bruce Brown to sign with you for the MLE, even though you're competing with a whole bunch of other teams? If you guarantee him a starting spot, if you say you're our starting point guard, Anthony Edwards obviously handles the ball a lot, but that's how Brown was playing. Like, he did bring the ball up for the Nuggets quite a bit, but he played off the ball with Murray and Jokic handling the ball quite a bit as well. So there is a little bit of a spot there. In Minnesota, you can see Mike Conley being a bench point guard if they brought in Bruce Brown. But I think it's interesting because everybody's on the Bruce Brown train right now. And I feel like DiVincenzo, not the same kind of player, but I'm loving the phrase, jack of all trades, master of none. He is a good 3-point shooter. He's a contributing player on both ends of the court. He's helpful as well. If I'm the Timberwolves, I want Bruce Brown first. But I wouldn't be mad about Dante DiVincenzo, especially because he'll probably be a little bit cheaper.
Yes, right. I mean, he's like, I guess opted out of his $4.7 million deal.
Right.
So he's going to get like quite an increase in payday. So, all right, I like that. Goes 5 full buckets of slop for that one. Final one then. Jake Fisher, of course, the Wizards are seeking draft compensation for Monte Morris and or DeLon Wright. So they have those veteran guards. Washington currently has 16 players on guaranteed contracts. The Wizards are expected to come to a buyout agreement with Gallinari. That was acquired in the Porzingis trade, clearing the way for the veteran scorer to find a home with a playoff contender. So that's Gallinari, but they maybe want some draft compensation because they have a lot of guards there. Obviously, with Tyus Jones coming over in that 3-way deal. Can they do it? Can they get something of note? I don't think this is a lottery pick by any means, but something for either Monte Morris and or DeLon Wright.
They could get something, but I don't think they're getting anything all that interesting.
Yeah.
I think that with this new CBA coming in, teams are going to be hoarding first-round picks. They're going to like the cost certainty and the long contracts that those guys are under, so there's no way that a team is trading a first-round pick for one of these 2 backup point guards. I'll give this 2 buckets of slop.
Okay.
1 bucket for each of those guys, because I do think that both Morris and Wright would be great players on other teams, and contending teams looking at the price will probably be like, yeah, we'll take a DeLon, right? Like, if you're the Mavericks, why wouldn't you trade something like a second-round pick to bring him in as another creator off the bench? So I think there will be interest in both of these players, but they're not going to be fetching a big return.
No, I agree. I am very high on DeLon Wright. Remember, I couldn't stop talking about him at the start of last season and how much impact he was having when he was healthy on the Wizards, because he plays great defense. We saw it in our Toronto days when we had him as well. But yeah, he would help a lot of teams, and I buy that the Wizards would be wise to move them for whatever second-round draft compensation, whatever comes back, for at least one, if not both those guys. Final one here. Jake Fisher says the Clippers guard Norman Powell is also considered available for trade across the league. His name was first mentioned in the Clippers' early efforts to acquire Chris Paul from the Wizards. So that's when you started hearing, Norman Powell could be available. So Jake Fisher says he is. How many buckets of slop would Norman Powell possibly available for trade?
Give me 3 buckets of slop for Norman Powell. You got to convince yourself that he's going to be worth his contract of $20 million in the 25-26 season, but Powell is a bucket of baskets off the bench. 17 per game last season, 48% from the field, 40 from 3. We've seen him contribute to a winning team with the Raptors. That's a player that I think teams will be interested in, maybe more so at the trade deadline when you're looking around saying, we need some kind of punch off the bench here.
Yeah.
We need one more creator to really push us over the edge. But yeah, I think a team should and will take a chance on Norman Powell. And I think it's probably smart for the Clippers to move off him as well, just because he's got this long contract. Things seem a little unsettled in LA right now, and making a move that brings something back for the future is probably smart for LA.
Okay, so you see this as realistic, either here in this free agency window or some point in the summer, or if not, if he's up there at the start of the year next year, maybe around the trade deadline. I definitely could see that, because you can talk yourself into Norman Powell.
Definitely,
like, that's a great little addition to our squad. That is maybe, I mean, man, those pigs. I like that sound,
Just
JD.
rooting around.
There's a lot of them. Every time they pop up and go away, they give a little squeal, a little snort. Yeah, good stuff. I'm with you on this one. About 3 buckets, Norman Powell. Any other thoughts? Any other slop out there that I missed that you wanted to address?
I wasn't in the fields today. I wasn't in the stables. Sent the boy out to do the work. He needs to learn the way I learned from my father.
Slop season. The slop scale, is that a keeper? You tell us. Do you like hearing a bunch of pigs in your ear holes, or like seeing that little piggy face pop up here on YouTube? I'm a fan of it. JD, great work.
I like that little pig with
yeah.
a hat that says P.
Adorable little guy.
Great find.
What do you mean? Where'd you find that?
I'm not a designer, so I subscribed
pig library?
Literally, I searched pig, farmer, oink, or something like that. And that's what came up.
Nailed it. All right, well, let's hear everybody's thoughts on all those NBA rumors. How many buckets of slop do you assign to each one? Let's get to Tweet of the Night.
Tweet of the Night. Wow.
I've got 3 tweets for you here. They're all related, and the first one is actually a video clip from @MBCS Philly, and it is Tobias Harris chiming in on the trade speculation surrounding him. Here it is.
Trade speculation, casual Sixers fans, they'll trade me for a crumble cookie. But at the end of the day, they have to realize, you're not getting a 6'9" forward back who can, damn near shoot 40% from 3, guard other teams' best player, shoot, post-up, drive, play 70-plus games a year.
All right, Tobias Harris saying, check the resume, man.
Sorry to your cookies, but I'm built different.
Yeah, so off of that, a lot of people had fun with the cookie comment. @GZerves tweeted, I'll do you one better, and then added Tobias Harris, I'll trade you for the bag the crumble cookie comes in. Oh, jeez. Well, Tobias Harris had a response. Greg, it actually comes in a box. In your fucking face, Greg. You don't know shit about cookies.
Greg.
So yeah, this was making the rounds yesterday. Crumble cookies. I gotta admit, I never heard of these cookies. I was like, oh, this must just be a local Philly thing. I searched for it. There's like 1,000 locations. How have I never? It feels like there's 100 here in Georgia. I've never seen this place. Never gone in it. Never had one. But it exists.
It's a real thing.
I'd never heard of it either till you sent me this tweet.
I couldn't believe it. I'm like, what do you mean there's 1,000 locations? Where is this place? And you said you have had it.
I've had it. As far as I'm concerned, February is the only month where crumble cookies exist.
Your birthday?
They had them at All-Star Weekend. And I know this, and I know they come in a box because I wasn't actually hungry for a cookie, but I saw it. I was like, that'll travel. A little tiny little box with my cookie.
Oh, okay.
Slid it in my bag, brought it home. Delicious, like lemon curd and shortcake.
Wow.
The crazy part is, though, All-Star Weekend kind of correlates with my birthday every year. So when I got home with my single crumble cookie, I was surprised to see a dozen crumble cookies sitting in a huge pink box. I got 13 crumble cookies after having 0 previously. And I've had 0 since, but I ate all of them. They were
Somebody sent you a
great.
dozen for your
Yes,
birthday.
yes.
And they're good.
They were legitimately good.
Would you trade Tobias Harris for them? For 12, let's say.
Yeah. 12, yeah. 1, maybe not, but 12, yeah.
Okay. All right. A
They're
crumble
good.
cookie. But you've never been in a store.
Never been in a store, never ordered one. They just show up.
Yeah.
In February only.
I was happy that you were agreeing with me, JD. I was like, I thought I was going crazy. I'm like, how have I never heard of this place where there are thousands of locations? But you said same thing.
Yeah, same thing.
I think there's one, like, within a stone's throw from here.
All right, let me check.
There's one in Decatur. we're basically in Decatur. Where's North Druid Hills? Isn't that like right?
Okay, let's not give out the address.
But it's close, is my point.
Oh, yeah, there's multiple locations in ITP. Let's just say that.
All right. Fun stuff there. Great response there from Tobias. And, I should add to this that Crumble Cookies have, of course, got in on the fun. They've tweeted, if Tobias stays with the Sixers, everyone in Philly gets a free Crumble Cookie. So, wow, putting a little pressure there on Morey.
Yeah. I know Tobias Harris was at a launch of one of the Crumble Cookies in Philadelphia.
Oh, is he an investor?
He's definitely got a relationship with the cookie people.
This is all some guerrilla marketing.
Maybe it is.
Wow, this is slick by him.
But honestly, a great line. Casual Sixers fans would trade me for a crumble cookie.
That's good. It is a good
good.
line. And then he just like, look at me, man. I play D. I shoot the 3.
He's a
I
good
play
player.
games.
Tobias Harris is a good player. Sometimes disappears.
Yes.
Like a box of crumble cookies. You just set them out and suddenly they're gone.
He's one of these guys in the league. His voice does not match his look to me. It's just like it's always jarring when I hear his voice. It's like,
Is he a New Yorker? I think he is.
Is he?
Maybe,
Oh.
yeah, which is
Always gets me.
surprising, yeah.
there it is. Crumble cookie. Anyway,
Closest one, 6 minutes from here.
oh, that's so cool.
It's like a 40-minute walk. Like, I'm going there like immediately after this.
Are you gonna walk there so you don't feel bad once you?
Yeah.
order
I
the
walk there,
cookies?
walk back. Yeah. of
Wow,
course.
that's a quite a
bit of a
trek.
hike. It's hilly
very
as
hot
well.
out.
Yeah, it's very hot.
Are you a cookie guy?
I love a cookie. Yeah, of course.
I'm not.
No?
No.
Huh.
No. That's why I don't think I've ever gone in one of these cookie establishments. The only cookies I long for Danielle's, Tass's
Danielle's,
wife,
yeah.
and
Milk
the
bar
milk bar
yeah.
cookies.
Oh, yeah.
Those were the jam.
Yeah.
What about Milk Bar? I mean, not Moo Milk Bar, but they have the cowboy cookie, isn't that what they're?
Yeah, those are good.
Yeah.
I guess I do love a cookie. And I will gladly eat one, but I'm just never like going out of my way, going into the store. I guess I never think to like buy a bunch either. Like if I'm going to a party, I never go, let's get a bunch of cookies.
Yeah.
I'm not wired that way, man.
Not built that way. That's
I'm
fair
more
enough,
of a
fair
salty
enough.
guy too than a sweet guy. So let me go grab some chips, some crumbled chips.
Sure.
Fruit pizza cookie. What?
So they just have like
They've got a
insane
lot
flavors?
of they've got some great classics. Like I think the milk chocolate chip is a
Okay,
banger,
see, that's what
of
I would
course.
get.
But then I think they're known for like, hey, we're changing up our cookie flavors. Changes every week. There you go.
Every week.
Wow.
Oh, so that's how they get you.
You gotta eat them all.
You said there's a pizza flavored one?
Well, it says fruit pizza.
Oh, fruit pizza.
A soft
okay.
sugar cookie topped with tart lemony frosting and a spread of fresh assorted fruit.
See,
Meh.
honestly, yeah.
That would be
I'm
the
with
last
ya.
one left in the box for me.
I ain't walking 40 minutes for that one.
No, Galaxy Brownie.
I'll send the boy.
I like pretending I have a son who makes all that work for me.
I'll send the boy.
Let the boy do it.
Send your boy down with a bucket to get a bunch of crumble cookies. All right, let's call it there. Again, let us know how you feel about the slop scale. Is that a keeper when it comes to segments on No Dunks? You tell us. If you are joining us here on YouTube, hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe. All you podcast listeners, leave your boys a 5-star rating and review. We got probably a couple more podcasts to end the week. It's a little bit of wait and see, I'll be honest. You know, the NBA's pretty good at always coming through with some slop at this time of the year, but if nothing of note happens today, I could see us maybe taking a day off tomorrow and then being back on Friday. But as soon as I've now said that, something huge will happen and Damian Lillard will be traded. You just watch. Check out today's new No Buns podcast, though, on the Athletic Baseball Show feed. Tass and Joel celebrating all things Canadian baseball. I'm definitely going to be locked into this one. Oh, Canada. Nick Nurse moving off of Team Canada as the head coach. You see that?
I saw that. Jordy Fernandez
That's
is
right.
taking over.
Nick Nurse just said there's too much work to be done in Philly. Might be trading guys for cookies. How am I going to play these cookies?
I got to figure it out.
Ooh, box in one.
That's why
I knew you were going to say it. Oh, I beat you to it. So check out No Buns. Thanks for joining us here. We will see you either tomorrow or at the very least Friday. And we will have a Fast Friends for Fast X, hopefully coming very, very soon. I know I've been saying this for a couple of weeks, but I plan on watching it either tonight or tomorrow. I guess we're hooping tonight. You're coming, right?
Oh, yeah.
But we will be recording it very soon and hopefully releasing it as well. Hoping to get Matty O on the pod. Bring him back for some Fast
I think he saw it last night.
He did? Mm-hmm. Ooh, okay. I can't wait. But anyway, just stay subscribed to the podcast and to YouTube. Till we see you. Clipper Bros.
You heard it here first. Have a great time. Turn up. Love you guys. Awesome.
Thanks for joining us, and remember, I looked up some quotes about pigs.
Okay.
This one, there's no way this is a real quote.
Go on.
It's from unknown.
It's from the pig, probably.
Pigs have a way of getting under your skin. They become a part of you and you can't imagine life without them.
I mean, they make
What?
great pets, apparently.
Yeah, George Clooney says so.
Really?
I think George Clooney famously had a pig in the mid-90s. Wouldn't get married, but would get a pig. So here's a secondary quote for you that I like. Thanks for joining us, and remember, a pig's tail will never make a good arrow.
Yep.
Spirally.
Let me take a crack at this. Thanks for joining us, and remember, let the boy do it! Brace the day, people.